get on over here. We should be live with the here we have it. And pin to profile. Pin, retweet, and like. There you have it. Okay. So we are live. And well, I think we're just gonna jump right into the start. Good morning. Good afternoon, or wherever you is. I imagine it's pretty much morning all over the globe, at least it should be. In America right now, it is very early, so I don't imagine any Americans may be here. But if they are, then welcome in. It's very early all over the world right now. U.S. time, I think it's Washington. It's like 5 a.m. No, it's Washington D.C. 4:40. 4:40 in Washington, and 3:40 in Chicago, 2:40 in Denver, 2:40 in Phoenix, 1:40 in Los Angeles, and what's that? Aurora and Honolulu, which is on the others. Yeah, you get it. You get it. It's all over the place right now, but it's there, and I love it. Of course, it's a early morning stream here. Even for me, it's only 10 a.m. really. So, well, I get early, but it's quite early. Podcast up, so things are looking forward. Things are good. So I think we're just gonna jump right into it, and we're gonna start off by telling you about North Korea. As the war has continued in both Israel and Ukraine, the situation on the demilitarized zone between North Korea and South Korea has slowly begun to unravel, with both countries now deploying heavy military equipment along the border. While North Korea has also begun the reconstruction of guard posts and other military sites in the area of the DMZ that had previously been destroyed under the 2018 Inter-Korean Military Pact, which has now totally collapsed. So the 2018 Inter-Korean Military Pact was made between the famous leader of North Korea, the Kim Jong-un man, the little rocket man, and the South Korean leader. Well, it's been debunked. It's totally collapsed. Everything has gone off. What made North Korea want to do this? We don't know if it's some kind of attempt to be annoying, some kind of attempt to try and consolidate some power, or if they're getting ready to actually do some things. We believe that this may just be a power move. I believe it is. I don't know if North Korea would certainly at this moment in time start from going for an attack. In such a small measurement of time. I mean, we are of course worried. I think some time ago, funnily enough, I actually saw a tweet from a military commander. There was the defense chief from the South Korean side, who actually said that North Korea could be preparing a Hamas-style attack. Putting that into perspective, we're looking at a very serious escalation point here. I've got some pictures for you. I'm just going to read this right here. So, South Korean intelligence believes that North Korea may soon begin to deploy a variant of high offensive weapons to the border. Oh, sorry, not high. Heavy offensive weapons to the border, including artillery and short, medium-range ballistic missile. So artillery and armor brigades of the Republic of Korea Armed Forces along the DMZ has been placed into a heightened state of readiness. They are at a heightened state of readiness as we're speaking right now. It's happening. I've got some pictures for you. This right here is guard posts being set up. These are North Korean soldiers setting off these guard posts right here. Quite some small ones, but that's what they're doing. This is the second one here as well. This appears what we believe to be some kind of gun position or another guard position. That appears to maybe another guard position. They're setting up things. This here is what they believe to have been some kind of air defense system that have been set up, or it looks quite old. Well, you'd imagine so. But yeah, there's much more for me to read for you. So a lot of interesting stuff here. So let me just find it here. North Korea's state media reports leader Kim Jong-un has received spy satellite photos of White House, Pentagon, and U.S. aircraft carriers at the naval base of Norfolk. North Korea last week successfully launched its first reconnaissance satellite, which has said was designed to monitor U.S. and South Korea military movements. There you have it. And also, I hear music there. North Korea has last week successfully launched its first reconnaissance satellite, which is assigned to monitor U.S. Since then, the state media has reported that the satellite photographed cities and military bases in the South Korea, Guam, Italy, in addition to the United States capital. United Nations Command has confirmed North Korea's soldiers stationed at the Joint Security Area are now carrying pistols. Countermeasures are currently being considered. North Korea and South Korea agreed to disarm the DSA as part of the recolonization or I don't get it, the peace thing efforts in 2018, the agreement. And South Korean media outlets are reporting that South Korea will soon position heavy weapons at the position across from North Korea is currently rebuilding guard posts and establish a new position again. South Korea has reportedly increased the readiness of the K9 Thunder 155mm self-propelled howitzer along the DMZ. South Korea is not ruling out that North Korea will transfer CRBMs closer to the border. South Korea is planning to implement immediate corresponding measures in response to North Korean activity at the DMZ. South Korea has detected significant activity of North Korean coastal artillery sites as well. It is now believed that the anti-aircraft guns were also brought closer to the forward positions at the DMZ. The establishment of recoilless rifles positions were also noted. So, a lot of stuff. That's a lot of reading right there. To simplify what I'm saying here is that, by the way, this is Gaza right here. Someone point that out. Oh, it's not live. To simplify what I'm saying here, guys, it's going up. It's going crazy. North Korea is acting up again. I mean, we've not seen, well, this sort of military buildup since, fucking 2000 18, before the intermediate military agreement that they were made between the two countries, they were simply at a truce. They were simply at a standstill. Nobody was fighting each other. They had a truce that was a log static truce since the 1950s, right? And they've been doing that since the 1950s. If you didn't know. And it's crazy to think now that we're looking back at a scenario that we have seen throughout the years. I mean, throughout the years, there's been many times where North Korea has acted up again and again and again. But this is certainly a time that is serious, because North Korea has recently launched its own spy satellite. With the help of Russia, they have more allies now. They even have Russia as a very close ally. China as well. So it is quite serious. One of the things that, of course, I'm worried about is the factor that some were stating that there could be the active possibility of an actual attack coming from North Korea, in the style of how we saw Hamas attack. That's the thing, right? So it is quite crazy, and it is going off right now. It's very serious. Of course, I'll keep you updated. That's as much as I know right now. They're escalating. They're moving things to the border, and things are being moved as we're speaking here. They're being moved into place, and they've started carrying pistols at the DMZ again. All it takes is one person to fire against one person. I mean, that's a standstill point there. Of course, North Korea is still getting ready. South Korea is too. Countermeasures is being put in place to deter such actions, but until that happens, of course, we're still monitoring this as a very, very close measure count here. But let's go back in my document here. I just kind of skipped it for you to get this North Korea out of the way. And go to some Ukrainian and Russian news here. So, good morning. And this is to show you not only the winter conditions, but also to wake you up a bit. Thought I'd start out here. Well, we didn't really start out with this, but here you have it.
Good morning, Vietnam!
This is the Caesar artillery system. Fucking beast. It's a goddamn beast. Yeah. Robin Williams. Good morning, Vietnam.
Good.
You need to make one that says, good morning, Ukraine. You need to do that. I'd like to see that. I'd very much like to see that. That's lovely. I thought I'd share that with you. The Caesar self-propelled howitzer. What a beast. 155 millimeter Caesar self-propelled guns sent fervent greetings to the occupiers. And what do you say? An early Christmas present, I'd say. Some really crazy news here, and I'll get to that just in a second here, but there's been massive tank battles lately. Funnily enough, you know, throughout this time here, you'd think this is when the tank battles would kind of cease down, but no. There's been a massive tank battle lately in the Volata. Was the biggest tank battle of the war, and Russia lost it badly, and we can see that on the numbers. I mean, look at the numbers, right? Hundreds of tanks throughout the last few weeks alone. So, of course, you ask Putin, he's going to say we won it. But in reality, they didn't. They didn't win it, and Russia lost. Ukraine won massively. Took out so much Russian equipment. It's going to take them years to rebuild, such a force of tanks. It will take them a while to rebuild such a force of tanks. It won't be, like a 2-day event. It will be a 6 years, 10 years event to be able to rebuild such massive stockpiles of weapons as they did have. So it is working. Sanctions are working, and things are great. If you don't believe me, you can go check out my new podcast. It is out. Apparently, the HD is still loading. I hope it's out now. But the HD should be out very soon, or is out now. And it's actually when I talk about it. I talked about what happened yesterday. I talked about it all, kind of summed it up. And from now on, we'll kind of do some live streaming, and then I'll make a podcast of it or something like that, where I'll just explain to kind of sum it up. Basically meant for you to be able to listen to it. If you don't want to sit here and listen to me to speak all this and watch all this, it's basically just for people who wants to watch it. And then I make a podcast, not only for people who will be able to, so people can be able to view, not just read, but listen to it. A lot of people, of course, if they can't see, it will be a great thing for them to be able to listen to it a lot more. Where I explain things a lot more. Of course, I already explained a lot of things, but be able to see like, oh, look at this video here, and then they can't know what happens, and then I make a podcast where it's kind of like equal, where I just explain what happened in the video, or where I do that, So it's, to me, that's kind of the thing I was gonna do, and then also I put like jazz and like a fireplace over it, trying to make it very cozy, something you can fall asleep to, or just relax to. Hopefully learn something, but I don't know. That's what I'm trying to do with it. So hope you enjoy it. It's called Not So Good Podcast, and it is in the description. You can go click the link in the description under this video right now if you want to go check it out. Okay, so one thing that did shock me this morning here, I was watching and I was going through my Twitter feed here, and I just saw this out of the blue. But apparently, this is quite crazy news to me. The wife of the head main intelligence department of Ukraine, Marina Budanova. Oh, that's a fly. That's a bird right there. I took my finger up there and kind of scratched it. But no, it's a bird. Was poisoned with heavy metals. Reports media citing intelligence source. After a prolonged deterioration in her health, she was hospitalized. The course of treatment is now ending. These substances are now are not used in any way in everyday life or military affairs, their presence may indicate a deliberate attempt to poison a specific person, the intelligence service noted. So, as far as I understand, she was poisoned with heavy metals, and after a prolonged deterioration in her health, she was hospitalized. The course of treatment is now ending. So, as far as I understand, she's all right, but of course, it doesn't make the situation anything less. I mean, this is the main intelligence service, the chief of the main intelligence department of Ukraine, his wife. That's a big miss up, and that's a really big sort of. This is her, by the way, and I don't want to share any more of her, respect the privacy, but it is serious when you think about it. Someone who's that high up in the ranking system of Ukraine, and not only is she, the wife to a main intelligence chief, and they didn't see it coming, is very serious. Some people say it's an inside job. I don't know. There's no way to know yet, and I'm not going to sit here and speculate on what happens. Of course, we know that Russia is a ex-spy state, and they know how to spy. That's one of the only things they do know how to do. And do I blame it on Russia? Yes. I think there's a very likely chance that Russia would have the idea of doing this, but I don't think we can blame anything on anybody yet because we don't know who did it. It's crazy, but it's true, so. I've been thinking, maybe doing morning streams isn't the best because a lot of people in the U.S. won't be able to, but it doesn't matter. Listen to it afterwards. It's better for me, and, we'll figure it all out. It'll be all right. Lavrov, the Russian foreign minister, to fly over Bulgaria to OSCE meeting. So he's going to fly over to Bulgaria for a OSCE meeting. Lavrov in Europe. Fuck it. Well, can't stop it. Don't like it. Can't stop it. According to Russian military bloggers, during the last 5 days, Ukraine army made small advancement north of Novoprovkovka, while west of Ropotany, they achieved a bigger advancements in the direction of Kopani, Tomak direction. So yeah. And as well as to further on this, the Russians' counteroffensive in the Vika area is 6 directions. Ukraine repelled over 30 attacks, the heaviest fighting in the industrial zone near the coke plant. Russian military commander report that Ukraine forces are counter-attacking in the area of Stebove. So one of the things that I find interesting about Russia, and especially about these attacks that continue, I thought that we were going to see a lot more standstill. I guess that we are still in the early days of the winter, but if you take any look at like the winter conditions in Ukraine lately, it is very seriously. Yesterday as well, you can hear me talk about this on the podcast as well. The massive storm that happened yesterday was really sort of, it put miles and miles around, miles of snow and winds up to 72 kilometers, which is like equal to 44 miles an hour, which, serious winds, and ships were broken in half. We had a ship called the boater or something like that. Oh, God damn it. Or the porter. I was talking about that on my podcast as well. That broke in half, or at least apparently what they say it did. And that was a Russian patrol ship that actually broke in half. There was multiple ships that got stranded. A Moscow ship got stranded, as well as I can't remember the flag name, but another ship got flag stationed as well. Some people were saying that yesterday was, in fact, the best time for Ukraine to attack the Crimean Bridge, but, some people apparently didn't think so themselves. I mean, of course, because the winds were so high. It may come today as well, because there are still high winds and some high temperatures, low temperatures, as well as I understand. You can see, look around here, this is live. You do see a lot of snow in the areas here. It's not crazy, but it is cold. There was very, very big minus cold, in the areas around. Of course, you can see, look at, sorry, I didn't realize I was here, but as you can see, you know, a lot of snow in the screens right here, there as well. Not massive amounts. This is not, if you go out towards the field, you'll see a lot more. This is where cars are driving constantly, so of course there's going to be a lot more less because the cars are heating it up. Especially over here, you can see, well, this is kind of like out towards the field where you can see a lot of snow. Wind temperatures were down underneath what I would say anything livable. It was seriously serious. 2,000 towns in Ukraine, 2019 to be as precise, at least that was according to the interior minister, actually became without power. So that's 2,000 towns. 2 million towns in Russia came without power. That included Crimea, and most of the occupied territories of Russia was out without power. Huge blackout throughout Ukraine and Russia. This wind we had not seen for 100 years. Still, the Russians managed to think to themselves that today was a great day to go for advancements, and they did so as well. You know, this points out just how little the Russians actually care. And that's a great picture right there. Look at that. You can even see it's still raining. Sorry, not raining, but you can still see the snow in this area up here. Oh, sorry. Let's give it a second. There you go. You can still see like the snowing up here. This is the Dnipro. The trucks having to clear out the roads. There were multiple roadblocks throughout the 12. And so we have it right here in Ukraine. 12 highways in Mykolaiv, 8 in Odessa, and 3. Eight Odessa, 3 Kirokahav, or one region remained blocked due to bad weather. This was reported by the State Emergency Services. Rescue have towed 1,130 vehicles and removed 164 trees to eliminate the effects of the snowfall. The work involved 1,215 people and 330 pieces of equipment. These are one of the equipment, two of the equipments right here. Trucks that have been needed to go around. You can see they've kind of piled snow up here, or at least whatever it appears this is. This could be a construction site, actually. I'm actually not aware, but at least you can see the conditions that they're in. This is in Kharkiv. Yeah, we actually have images of how it looks like. I do have some images of that as well. Of course, you can see it's much better weather today, much more silent, much better. But, you know, serious conditions yesterday. But the Russians still continue to go forward. I didn't think I was going to see much continuation, but the Russians continuously to have no sense of morality or anything towards their troops and continue to hammer their young men into a war of almost certain death, which is crazy to think about. And the Ukrainians it's a hard-fought battle in Avdiivka as well. Ukrainians are continuing to hold in Avdiivka, though, which is a good thing. But it's a hard-fought battle. I mentioned this many times. You can go watch that on Twitter, the podcast as well. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sochi, Russia. This was actually one of the things. Okay, thank you very much. Didn't need to have loud music blasted into my ears about a storm's coming. No, but this was in Sochi, and this is actually Russian, not Russian occupied territory. This is Russian territory. This is Russian, part of the Russian Federation. This is just near the Georgian border, actually, quite close to that, down towards the Caucasus. So this is very, I mean, this was very serious. You know, as you can see. The waves became, like some people were saying, 10 meters high. God damn it. And this was a railroad, I believe, also in Suju that also got damaged. I think it was some kind of power line fell on top of it. But I think you're going to be able to see it in the video. Yeah, look at that. We don't travel over top of that. I think it took the whole goddamn thing underneath it. See, that's how useful it is. how it usually is. And you need that because you can't travel a train over that. I mean, maybe you can, but it's very unsafe because, you know, you need that ground there. But the water just took it away. Look at that. And it's happened all over. Look at that. And then it took away over here. That section you saw over there was okay. But then because it happened over here and then a power line, multiple power lines that actually appears fell over. This got bent down, as you can see. Bent down to the pressure. But they, you know, it washed away that stone, sort of whatever they laid there. They will have to lay new if they want to do that. Can do in these conditions as well, you know, it's crazy. That was absolutely crazy. Actually, it appeared to be sort of cutting it off. That's probably because they got to cut it off and then they got to get everything up and going again, and that's got to refill it. But yeah, I mean, it's... I mean, you think this was bad, right? It was actually mainly bad in Russia. A city, or sorry, an airport in the other end of Russia. Actually, funnily enough, if you look on the map here, over here, which is as far as the way you can get from the Black Sea, an airport, I don't know exactly where, I think it's some of the general area right here, got actually had completely filled up with water, like 20 centimeters of water. So Mother Nature didn't like Russia yesterday, and it was most serious, and there were a serious storm over Moscow this morning as well. That continued. A massive cyclone not seen for, like they said, 40 years. They're not seen this massive cyclone. There's a karma coming in from Mother Nature. Odessa and ports in Romania and Turkey and Bulgaria. I mean, these people had it bad too. I imagine that some areas in Georgia were pretty bad too. So yeah, it was a bad time for a lot of the people there, and you know, so yeah. The Black Sea were very unstable yesterday. It was a massive storm, massive cyclone, and it started to move from the Black Sea and push all the way over. You missed Ukraine, maybe hit a little bit of here in Kharkiv, but it kind of missed Ukraine completely and went straight for Moscow. You know, that's kind of, when you think about it, it's kind of funny that it went completely past Ukraine and went straight for Moscow, as if it was going like, oh, I know where I'm going. You know, I know where I'm going. I'm not going anywhere else. I'm going here. Okay, I'm going here. Yeah, so very menacingly serious situation there. It is a P8 Poseidon going out. This is in Japan right here. Of course, we're still watching what's happening here in North Korea. If you want to go back to the start of the video, if you're wondering my title, go back to the start of the video. I will explain it all there in the start of it. It'll also be in tomorrow's podcast. I did upload a podcast today. Probably talked a little bit about it. I talked a little bit about it, but do go watch the start of this stream if you want to hear about what's happening in North Korea and why it is pretty serious at the moment here. At least why people are saying it's becoming a little bit serious, you know. Still. Oh, hello. There's a P8. There's a P8 that appears to have crossed kind of into Ukrainian territory. That's funny. Look at that. That's a P8 getting like really close to Ukraine mainland. Look at that. That's a Poseidon P8 right there. That's a sub hunter. It's getting really close here. It actually kind of crossed over. It's probably just Flight Trader messing with us, or you know, not messing with us, but maybe a little bit off track here. But you know, it's getting really close. Usually it's not there. Usually it actually hangs out like over here, or sorry, you know, over here in Romania. It usually hangs out around here. It doesn't usually go over here. That's interesting. Well, I'm gonna have to keep an eye on that one. That is actually really interesting. Okay, so yeah, so Russia copied ChatGPT and presented Putin, who was called a boss, with a domestic AI GigaChat. Wow. The boss asked the AI to come up with a fairy tale. The AI began in loose way. There were two friends, Father Frost and the Snow Maiden. The boss then asked to teach the AI traditional Russian values. Of course, he did. So this is a video from it. Like, as far as I understand, this is their. Oh, sorry. So as far as I understand, it's their new Russian technology, and there is, of course, subtitles. And for anybody who couldn't read, I will say it here. The boss briefly compared domestic achievements in the field of artificial intelligence with Western ones. We have a positive gloom of some kind. This is Putin speaking. To keep the artificial intelligence in line, the boss gave it a task of all Russian importance. Make up a New Year's fairy tale. When the artificial intelligence began to tell the fairy tale made up at the request of the boss, it turned out that in matters of gender orientation, it still has to learn traditional Russian values. It turned out that in matter... Oh, sorry, I reread that. I'm sorry, I was... Oh my god. Yeah. Once upon a time, two friends, Father Frost and Snow Maiden, lived in a distant country. Having made sure that the narrative artificial intelligence can turn a fairy tale into reality and an enemy into dust, the boss returned to work because even Elon Musk and his super chats can't count high technologies in Russia and have only one boss. So it made an Elon Musk that was lip syncing, talking Russian, which is what you saw in the end there. It's Russia trying to catch up with the rest of the world, creating an AI technology that could probably, what their hopes is to maybe create some kind of Zelensky propaganda or some kind of Ukrainian propaganda. I don't know, but keep your eyes waver because there's going to be a lot of misinformation coming out with Russians having AI generated systems at their disposal now. So do watch out for that. The SBU detained a Russian agent who spied on defense forces in Chernihiv Oblast. A 20-year-old resident of the Novgorod-Sirinsk community nicknamed Jester. He was in waiting mode on the border territory of Chernihiv region for more than a year. Since October of this year, he began to collect for the enemy the exact coordinations of headquarters of armed forces of Ukraine, which are involved in defense, the place of the greatest concentration of personnel and military equipment of the Ukraine defenders. The Russians needed this data to prepare artillery strikes on the border and sabotage. So here you have it. This is the man. This is him. I actually took a picture of him, and I want to share it to you. This is an actual very pro-Russian agent who was in waiting mode, a sleeper agent, you may call him. Here he is being taken away by the SBU. So he is detained, and he's going to spend a lot of time thinking about his actions because he's been a naughty boy. Yeah, so moving on from that, good to see that the SBU, amazing people, doing a great job. Ukrainian Leopard 1A5 tank somewhere in the Kharkiv region. The reason why I want to show you this is because I want to show you just how the conditions in Ukraine is at the moment here and why I think it's incredible that there are still, these advancements coming out. It's a 2-minute video here, but watch this because it's quite amazing that there are still advancements of any kind still coming out at this point in time. And we were seeing a lot of really interesting development throughout these days here, and yeah, I was surprised to see that there was still military advancements in any way form, because I'd imagine that at least during the storm yesterday, they weren't going to try. They were going to try and dig in, but the Russians are the Russians, and they will continue to do so. Well, these are one of the tanks that are taking out a lot of Russian tanks. So take a look at this. This is the tank working in the winter. It's an educational video here, so do take a look at it.
Вражати цілі на відстані, ну, реально десь до 3,5-5 кілометрів. Навіть. Ця система, в принципі, дуже актуальна наразі, тому що сучасні танки, які знаходяться на озброєнні нашого ворога, вони не мають такої системи, тому що вона їм не дозволяє з нами на дальніх відстанях вести протистояння. Тобто ми можемо на відстані, яка не дозволяє нас знищувати, вести по ним вогонь.
І коли така погода, то ним дійсно тяжко керувати, тому що воно грязі.
Sorry, there's no English version. I wish there was, but it's just to show you how they operate in the cold. So here you have it.
Забиває слизько, ну загалом як легковий автівка. А так, в принципі, він керований, досить предсказуємий. Що ще можна сказати? В управлінні дуже легкий. Тобто, працюючи перед війною трактористом, то це було панувати його дуже легко і просто.
На цьому танку хорошо воювати, класне попадання в нього. Хлопці, як вже попередник мій говорив, були бойові виїзди в нас. І були у них з їхніх сторон вже були потері від цих танків.
And there you have it. And you can see, I mean, the only reason why we're having tank battles is because imagine the only thing that can really move in these conditions are tanks. But I mean, they actually have a very limited range of movement. Well, because simply driving 3 tons of pure steel over a fucking muddy terrain is, well, it's off-road, but it's hard because you're going to sink into the mud. And they get stuck. You know, Russians, they already have had a lot of Russian tanks go stuck because, well, a lot of Russian tanks aren't built for this kind of condition. They are in theory, but, you know, you don't update the tracks, you don't keep the conditions in relatively good conditions. You know, and the engine can cut out, you know, under stress, you know, or, well, simply not work. I mean, if you don't, you don't take care of it, it's not going to work for you. So it's pretty much what we're looking at right now is that the Russians didn't take care of their tanks, and, well, they are falling apart underneath the feet of them, and they are not doing too good. They're not doing too good with their tanks right now. They're actually having a hard time doing anything. So, you know, but they still try. Don't get me wrong. I mean, look at what's happening in Ukraine right now. They still try and do something, but it takes time. It takes a very long time. It really does. Made in China. Reports. Poite Yuri reports that Ukraine military has found Chinese-made 60mm M838 mortar rounds in service of the Russian units in Ukraine. Other Chinese-made munitions are also in use by the Russian forces. So it's funny to me, you know, China continues to say to everyone, "Oh, we're not involved. We're not doing anything to help them. We're not doing anything." But then they continuously do this, which is give them mortar rounds, drones, equipment, all kinds of things. They go around saying that we want to have closer relationship with, you know, with the United States, but then they do this kind of stuff, and you wonder, is it all just a scheme? And I think it is. I honestly to God, don't believe anything. Don't believe anything China says, because they will be devious dogs. They have said recently they've become a little bit less Chinese, Russian, pro-Russian, and I do believe that. But to be honest with you, it is quite serious still, and you know, this kind of stuff continues to happen. Or, you know, it could have been made by North Korea. It could have been saved by North Korea and then give it to them now. But you never really know. You never really know. You don't know. Yeah. Scythian gold is already in Ukraine. A truck with 2,694 kilos of cultural property entered the territory of Kiev Labrev, where Kiev customs officers will identify the treasures in the treasury of the National Museum of Ukraine. Here you have it. So these trucks right here filled with Scythian gold. Scythian gold is sort of Ukrainian gold. It's date backs to a time, like an ancient time. I'm not sure exactly when, but it is gold that they were given, or at least have. That was either stolen or, I believe, sent away in purposes because of the war was happening and they wanted to get rid of it, or, you know, to save the culture. But because now they are still winning and they're you know, actively holding the country in a stable position, they wanted to get it back so they could replay it in Ukraine and, you know, show that they're not giving up on the dream yet. And I think that's amazing. So here you have it. By the way, you know, to choose a road to drive such a precious amount of equipment down, precious, not equipment, but precious things, you know, you choose this road right here. I'd hope it's not very slippery, because that's very steep right there. You know, oh, we were transporting very precious, you know, gold. All right, well then pick that road right there, and, you know, the very steep one. Oh yeah, makes sense. Despite the strong storm, the enemy brought the frigate Admiral Kakarov into the Black Sea on combat duty. The Southern Defense Force report its equipment is up to 8 caliber missiles. The missile threat level has been increased. A lot of missile threat yesterday. You can even see the missile threat right now, actually, in the Zaporizhia and in the Dnipro direction. So, is that from ships in the sea? By the way, new announcement: Ukraine may receive warships, but that's still a pending decision. But there has been talks about Ukraine actually receiving warships, and when that happens, if that happens, well, Russia would very likely have a naval force that they would also now have to deal with. I mean, they've been already losing to a country without a naval force, so now that Ukraine is getting a naval force, they'd be much afraid. I would be, you know. On other news, Putin approves increase in army spending to record since Soviet times. The Moscow Times report. For the year, the budget will spend 10,775 trillion rubles on national defense, which is 70% more than in 2023, which was 6.8 trillion, 2 times more than in 2022, 4.7 trillion, and 3 times higher than in pre-war 2021, 3.5 trillion. The army and the military industrial complex will eat 30% of the 2024 budget, and all security forces together, 40% of the budget will go towards the army and the war in Ukraine. Russia is going to spend 40% of its fucking economy, or at least its budget, which is amounts to what appears to be a little bit above 10 trillion rubles, on its industrial complex and war. You know, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. That's the thing I continue to say it. I'll say it again. I've said it earlier. Russians, they don't have good equipment, but they just have more. Ukraine, you know, I mean, people keep saying we have to continue to deliver. What we have to do with Ukraine is give them things that not only can they repair, but we have to help them build factories and things that they can make so they can produce it. Or at least we have to pick up our spending on our industrial complexes in the Western world, or this Ukraine war won't, you know, exist. I mean, that's, to be honest with you, this is serious. You know, this is a very serious thing here to think about, and it continues to be serious. And you know, it's not like the Western world continues to think, no, it's not serious, but it is serious. And you know, 10.7 trillion rubles on a fucking defense budget. It's gonna give you something. Is it a sign of Russians losing? Yeah, but it's also a sign of Russians realizing they need more, which is also a bad thing. So, you know. But moving on from that, giving you some better news here. Russian losses as of November 28th. I did say there was going to be less combat, and some people are saying that there's still more combat. There's still combat. I'm saying there's less combat. It's going back and forward. The general staff says there is still combat in Adivika. That's true. However, the battles have become much less. They're averaging around 800 soldiers a day. The average was 931. I'm seeing 800. I don't know. That's up to them, really. We're looking at an 860 plus troop losses today. And that's, of course, from 27, but reported today, right? So, free APVs, free vehicles and fuel tanks, free tanks, one artillery system. And that's it. You know, no UAVs, no nothing. They're saving it for over the winter. Towards when we get into December, I'm believing we're going to see a lot more drone attacks throughout December. I believe the Russians are going to move in, not much like they did before. We've already been through one winter before. Last winter, they stockpiled a lot of rockets. Some sources say that they've stockpiled up to 900 rockets to be able to fire at Ukraine at this point in time. I mean, we're talking about 900 rockets to be able to fire at Ukraine. It's not a massive amount, but we're only talking about months. And if they fire 2 rockets a day, that's, you know, against whatever they're going to fire it at. I mean, how many months are we really talking about there being a serious winter? We're talking about a maximum of 3 months or 4 months of serious winter. They could definitely stretch out whatever they have in UAVs and missiles, which is 900. They can stretch out that over 4 months. They could 100% do that. You know, 30 rockets a month. You spread out. Let me check it out, because I didn't do math on it, but I can do it. 900 times 4 months. 225 rockets stretch out over 4 months. Maybe it's 5 months. Maybe it's a little bit more, a little bit less. But in all honesty, about 4 months of really cold winter. That's 225 rockets to be able to fire off throughout those months. That's a lot of rockets, and it can do a lot of damage. So it's a very serious situation. That's why Ukraine is very worried about it. And they're also thinking about targeting the infrastructure of Ukraine, which means that they won't have any power. They won't have any power to heat themselves, water, things like that, essential things. It'll be a very tough winter for both sides, but it will be a tough winter for the Ukrainians. Said it before, say it again. But it is serious. It really is. World news. A magnitude of 6.5 earthquake strike north of Papua what's that called? Papua New Guinea? Yeah, Papua New Guinea. I don't know. Papua New Guinea, right? There you have it. And furthermore, a lightning strike kills 18 people in India. At least 18 people were killed in a lightning strike across western India. Gujarat stated during an unseasonable intense storm on Sunday. Officials said such big rainstorms are not expected in Gujarat during winter month, and fierce downpours caught many off guard. World's changing. Said before, see it again. World is changing. There's a lot of things happening. We are looking at, you know, a catastrophic change in weather. Storms are getting wilder. The weather's getting colder. Some areas are getting very hotter. Look at the summer. Look at the summer. Look how just as hot it got in Italy, right? People died of just the heat, you know. And also, furthermore, biggest ice chunk ever, 4,000 square kilometers, just broke off yesterday. Something A38 or something it's called. So it continues to change. Was still changing. There's still war going on. Everybody's crazy. Ukraine's winning. Israel's winning. However, war's still going on. North Korea's going crazy. China's going crazy. Yeah. Serbia and Kosovo is still on their teeth, and the world's gone crazy, and we are watching it as we're going along here. But the world has gone into a chaos mode right now, and hopefully we'll survive it. We will. Of course we will. But stay tuned for it. Okay. Well, Israel news. The Palestinian prisoner released in hostage deals were returned to Gaza despite his objections. He wanted to stay in Israel jail here, where he got a salary from Palestinian Authority. His wishes were ignored, and he was sent back to Rafah. Well, yeah. Of course, if he's a terrorist, he's a terrorist. I don't know. I mean, you don't really have a lot of say-so when you're a terrorist, do you? So sources in Gaza are reporting that Israel drones are currently airborne over Gaza, but however, the situation over Gaza has reportedly relaxed with gunfire no longer being heard. While it's still unknown what caused it, the ceasefire appears to still be active. Some tank fire was actually heard later today, and people thought that the ceasefire had ended, but apparently, because we heard yesterday, there was a 2-day extension of the ceasefire and the hostages, which was, for Hamas to be able to extend this deal, they have to release 10 hostages a day. Hamas is actually doing that, and they are giving away 10 hostages, the bare minimum they have to give away. So the deal is being extended day by day, and they're being given day by day hostages. Ceasefire days to regather, I imagine. But Israel is saying that they are, working actively to be ready for anything, and that's what they're seeing here. Israel is not waiting. Israel is not patient anymore. And to be honest with you, Israel doesn't take shit anymore, okay? Because these Hamas soldiers, if they try and launch anything, Israel doesn't give a shit. They're not gonna wait. They're gonna go, oh, okay, so you just wanted to attack, but we're not gonna attack back. No, if you attack, they attack back, and they will not stop until you stop. So they, don't fuck around with Israel anymore. And also, deliver those hostages so we can get rid of Hamas. But the only thing Hamas knows is that as soon as they deliver those hostages, they will be taken out, which is probably what's keeping most of them from actually delivering these hostages. I don't know, but yeah. To me, it does seem quite serious that they're not being given, that these hostages are being given such a slow send-off. But we're seeing them being released. We're talking about maybe 67 hostages at this point. We're getting pretty close to that number at least, and it's good. It's good. Hundreds of hostages were taken, but we are looking at a standpoint where hundreds of hostages are going to be released here soon. And also to point out a second thing for you, there's been a lot of stories, of course, coming out now. Of course, these hostages coming home are going to start sharing stories about what Hamas did to them, and we're going to have to hear a lot about that. Go on Twitter, go to the IDF. You're going to hear a lot. Go to the official IDF Twitter if you want to hear a lot of these stories. They're coming out. They're going to be shared. They're going to be, of course, propagandized in so many ways. But that's what you have to do. But yeah, no, there will be a lot of stories coming out, and we'll have to, of course, listen to some of those. I'm not going to share a lot of them for privacy reasons, but yeah, there will be a lot of stories. There's already been a lot of rape and torture and all that, the usual stuff. So yeah. Another thing, talking about propaganda, but this is not from Israel. This is from Hamas. So Hamas terrorist forces 12-year-old hostage Yakil Yaakov to wave. So they forced him to wave to the camera as he departs captivity and heads back to Israel. The 12-year-old looks exasperated and shrugs after being forced to perform the propaganda video. So here you have it. This right here is him being released, right? So that's the Hamas soldier right there. These are the Hamas soldiers being loaded into the trucks and sent back. then they have to wave to this soldier right here who apparently doesn't himself know how to wave. He doesn't know how to wave. Oh, do I wave? Am I waving? Am I waving? I'm not. I'm only terrorist. I don't know how to wave. I only terrorist. I don't know how to wave. That's the guy right there. He's waving back. They're all waving back. It's so fucking fake, you know? Such a fucking bullshit, fake shit. And this guy's just smiling. I mean, obviously, you know, these guys are playing it along as they have to, not to get shot. So, you know, fair bet to the fact that they're just, you know, smiling and having time so they can get these hostages out of there. They all know it's fake. You know, every single one of them knows it's fake. So they don't really care and all that. But, you know, at least they're being released. But that's one of the hostages. That's one of the ridiculous acting and propaganda videos coming out from, you know, that I've seen so far coming out, and it continues. Yeah, so again here, more details on Hamas captivities. Hostages beat up with sticks after abduction, held on the ground, no shower for 50 days, little food. They were treated by Israel nurses who were also taken hostages. Doctors say elderly women needed incredible strength to survive. Some of them, those people that did survive, it's probably going to be called 50 Days. I imagine there's going to be like some kind of movie coming out called 50 Days or something like that, right? But yeah, no, it's serious. It is serious, and those people who did survive, seriously brave people, and they went through a lot. And that's why I say to you right now that if you're watching this, please do not share their please do not share their pictures. Respect their privacy. A lot of people right now are sharing, this is Hamid, she survived. This is Hamad, she survived. You know, I don't think that any of these people who were captured want their life to be turned into sort of a, oh, I survived this and that and that. Maybe some of them do. You know, a lot of people did want to share their stories after the Holocaust, and that's true. Or after the concentration camps, and that's true. But a lot of these people who were in the concentration camps didn't want to be shared, and didn't want to, just wanted to go back and live a normal life without having to remember what happened. And you also have to respect that. So if they want to be shared, if they want to share their stories, of course, respect that as well. We're going to listen to that. But I'm not going to, you know, if they don't want to do it, if they just want to go back and live their normal lives, to not be postered on some poster about this, we survived and we were brave and all that stuff, you know. So, you know, have to respect the fact that these guys, maybe they're saying like, oh, you know, we don't want to be shared. We just want to have some privacy. We just want to live out the rest of our lives without having to remember this. And that's something you have to remember and respect. So just want to say that. I think that's something that needs to be said. US, EU, UN, and NATO news here. The Polish border of the US Defense Department, the Defense Policy Board, not Polish, of the US Defense Department will hold closed-door meetings next week, during which it plans to discuss the Pentagon's strategy towards Russia, the official journal of the US government said. New government plan. I'm going to get to that in a second here, but the new House Speaker did come out with a statement that is very positive. I'm going to get to that in a second here. But a city bus crashed into a home, resulting in multiple injuries. This was in Arizona, Mesa, apparently. They're saying Mesa. But yeah. So multiple authorities are on the scene after a Mesa city, it's called Mesa, Arizona bus crashed into a home following a collision with a car. The incident involving an unknown number of other vehicles, resulting in injuries of 7 people. 4 of the victims were transported to the hospital, while the remaining 3 declined transportation. Police report that no one inside the house or the home was injured during the bus collision. The cause of the crash and the circumstances leading to the bus slamming into the home are currently unknown. Here we have it. Let's check it out. Here you have the video. This is from Aftermath. So you can see it's in the home. You know, that's the house of the home. That's the other car it smashed into. Quite a massive car it smashed into. I mean, we're talking about vans. That one right there was smashed to pieces, as you can see. It got hit right there. Swell. Appeared the back end was pretty safe, but it probably appeared to hit the house at quite a high speed because it moved into a house and moved 4 cars. So I'd imagine the speed of which it hit the cars in the house was quite big, especially because that's the roof of that car right there, just completely mangled. So I'd imagine that the speed of collision was quite high. Just want to give you that. That's happening in Arizona. Well, maybe that was last night, obviously, but yeah. Large image dump released by the Department of Defense of the Eisenhower Carrier Strike Group transiting the Strait of Hormuz yesterday, entering the Arabian Persian Gulf. And if you don't know what that is, the Persian Gulf is right next to Iran. Don't get me wrong. I think it's exciting. This is from the first pictures here. That's the Eisenhower, I believe. And there you have it again. That's a picture. A helicopter coming in. A lot of cool pictures that came out. It's in black. That's a Black Hawk right there. Does appear so, right? Is that Apache or Black? That's a Black Hawk, right? I don't know. I'm not good with helicopters. Look at that. Oh, that's such a mighty, mighty view. I mean, it's really, really a great view to see, isn't it not? Look at this. It's more Eisenhower. What a mighty view. I'm gonna keep sharing the same picture of this one. And it's the same picture they've shared 3 times now, so that's great. Oh, there it is. That's the look at all these planes right there. A lot of A-10s or it looks like an F-18s. Maybe some F-16s. Yeah. But look at how many planes there is. And that's U.S. military might there for you. Look at that. Such a mighty scene. Oh, yeah, that's definitely an F-18 right there. Is that Tomcat or no? Is it? I don't know actually. I know it's an F-18. Look at that. That's actual images coming out. That's the United States didn't come to play. Okay, when you send this Dwight Eisenhower, he's the man who won D-Day. By the way, Eisenhower, Dwight Eisenhower, or I think that's his name. He's the man who won D-Day. So when you send Eisenhower, you're not fucking around. Okay, no, but it's true. You're not messing around when you send Eisenhower to check out if everything's all right. Eisenhower just comes along. The person goes, "Hey, buddy, listen, look at me. Okay, look at you. Look at me. Look at you. Okay, you're not gonna beat me. Okay." Germany provides $328 million for Ukraine's energy grid. Germany has provided Ukraine state grid operators Encargo with Ukraine Energy Go or something like that with 300 million euros, 328 million dollars for upgrading the energy grid. The German ambassador for the Ukraine, Martin Jagger, said on November 27, which is something I read about yesterday, but I want to give you here again. So energy is coming up going, apparently. I mean, that's a lot of money to get energy going. Hopefully that'll do some good. That's one of the things that the Russians are targeting the most, the energy grid, which is, Ukraine's targeting energy grids in Russia as well, but Russia has a lot more capabilities to do that because they're a lot closer to all those energy grids, and it's absolutely terrible. But especially because the air defense that the Ukrainians are being given at this moment in time is going to be so little compared to what they need. So these energy infrastructures, which is critical infrastructure, any time, anywhere, energy is the most critical infrastructure that you can have. Therefore, it's important that you have it. But when you don't give enough to protect that energy infrastructure, it gets very serious. And they're not, being given enough. So hopefully they'll be given some more, and they can protect these vital infrastructure. But as far as right now, and we understand that this is hopefully happening, but it's happening a bit too slow, I'd say. Give me 75 billion euros a year for 2.3 years, and I will make sure that the Ukraine army wins. British retired General Barons Don't tell me that you can't afford to mobilize your industry and you will to make sure that Ukraine wins. It's not about whether you can afford it. It's about the choice about competence. The former head of the UK Joint Forces Commander also said at the forum in Lucerne, Switzerland. Listen to this right here. Listen to this man right here. It's the kind of people we... Oh, sure. Sorry about that. Sometimes Twitter glitched out a bit. This is the kind of people we need. Okay?
The only way Ukraine wins is if we now mobilize our industry and our will behind that. And do not tell me it's unaffordable, because you represent an economy of 15 trillion euros a year, and I can feed the Ukrainian military on about 75 billion euros a year for 2 or 3 years, and I can make them win. This is not about affordability. This is about choice and competence. And isn't it a bargain if we can defeat Russia's objections to you on a war in Ukraine where you only spend money, you do not spend your children? Bargain of the century. The only way Ukraine wins...
For that shit right there. Absolutely fucking right. I've never heard anything more better. Don't spend your children on it. Ridiculous. They want to spend their children on it. No. Spend money that you can always make money back. You can't get your children back. Okay? They may survive the war, but what if they don't? Can never get that child back. Can always get money back. Always, always, always. Can always get money back. Okay? It's always a way. A lot easier to get money back than it is to get a child back. I gotta get a child back. You get money back. Think about it that way. Okay? Speaker of the House of Representatives Mike Johnson said that the issue of assistance to Ukraine is a priority in the work of American Congress. We cannot allow Putin to march through Europe. We understand the need to provide assistance to Ukraine, he said during a conversation with the reporters. Here you have it. And this is the new House of Speaker, or House of Representative, Mike Johnson.
Another priority, of course, we can't allow Vladimir Putin to march through Europe, and we understand the necessity of assisting there. What we've said is that if there is to be additional assistance to Ukraine, which most members of Congress believe is important, we have to also work in changing our own border policy. And so there's been a lot of thoughtful negotiation ongoing with that. I think most of our Senate colleagues recognize that those two things need to move together because we owe that to the American people. That's what they're demanding that we do. Ukraine is another...
Okay. Yes. I don't know why they have to mix those two things together, but all right. Whoa, yeah, okay. Polish protesters have started a round-the-clock blockade of the Medyikiv-Sieni checkpoint, which will last until January the 3rd, said Roman Kadyrov, a representative of the protesters. He noted that there are voices from the Ukrainian side of both of the border saying that the Polish protesters are blocking the passage of humanitarian aid for Ukraine. Kurov said that this was untrue, but did not rule out that if such occasions continued, the protesters will indeed not let any trucks through. Yeah, and this is one of the things that has been happening throughout the days here. One of the most furious things is that there's been no trucks coming through. Poland is blocking the trucks coming through. It's not Poland, it's the protesters, but the politicians have seen continuously lack of wanting to actually help out and get them through. I don't know. I think hopefully we can see into this. I've talked about this before. I'm not going to get into it again. There's both sides to the story, of course, but it is quite serious. And I will be honest with you, it is a serious day here today. We will have to get these trucks through eventually. Hopefully they will, and hopefully we can get them through sooner or later. But they have to get these trucks through eventually, and hopefully they will get them through. Pennsylvania water system hacked by Iranian-backed cyber group reports. So Pennsylvania's water system apparently got hacked. So, yeah, I don't, I don't know what to say about that. I mean, this is Iran, and if Iran wants to continue to fuck around, they're gonna find out why we sent the Eisenhower to fuck around. Okay, that's my best point of view for you right there. If they want to continue to fuck around, well then figure out why we sent Dwight D. Eisenhower to fucking fuck around. We're gonna make the new D-Day landing of Iran, and we're gonna fuck you up. No, I'm just saying, if they want to continue to fuck around, they can fuck around, but I'll fuck them up as well. We'll fuck them. Fuck those motherfuckers. No, but I mean, yeah. All right, well, I'm done with my document. We'll get a little bit of a resume just to kind of counter it off, but I will get you the remainder of the news that I didn't get you yesterday, so we'll have to sort of all around stream here where you get to listen to all the things that happened. So 5 minutes and 40 seconds here. And then we'll round off the stream with me kind of re-explaining it, going on deep state, and then we'll, look into that. So here you have it.
Он полностью ничего не может. И все провалилось. Офигеть!
Во. Секанули, прямо вот здесь. Вот, видишь, дым идет? Прямо вот здесь, где Белый дом вот этот. И секанули. Прямо здесь.
Да.
And there you have it. That's flash news here. Sum up what has been happening throughout the days here. I will be honest with you. It is quite serious and all around. But of course, there's ceasefire in Gaza, so that's kind of gotten still. Ukraine, of course, still seeing some attacks. Mainly, it's going to be rocket-propelled attacks. Let's talk about that as well. Of course, we're going to see a lot of that happening around the world. I mean, we're talking about North Korea as well. There's a lot of stuff happening. North Korea and South Korea kind of going at it again. They're dropping the intermediate 2018 intermediate military agreement where they kind of agreed to not attack each other. But that's collapsed, and you know, Ukraine's also kind of a standstill, of course, due to this weather conditions, and as you can see right here on this. So right here, look at that. I mean, you can see the winter conditions continue to be very serious around here in Ukraine. So the state emergency service reported that the result of liquidation of the consequence of bad weather. Traffic is currently blocked on 8 highways. 572 settlements were de-energized, which means blackouts. So that's the biggest problem here in Ukraine. Of course, they continue to be pushing forward and backwards. Lavrov's in Europe. Putin has launched a new AI, some sort of fucking bullshit. And well, you can hear to me all saying about it in the stream. If you want to go check it out in the stream, you can hear me talk about it all, of course. Let's see if there's anything movement here. This is, of course, the contention areas that Russians continue to try and push through. As far as we understand, there's not been a lot of movements. There's been some pushback from the Ukrainians in the areas up here. That's good. Pushing around the flanks, some of these Russians here. Could be a good move, considering the fact that this front would be a little hard to hold if... Oh, wait, there's push forward. Oh, right. So the Russians has pushed forward a bit. Right. Okay, I got it right wrong. Well, sorry about that. I was looking at this. I thought, but no. Some Russian push forward pushing here. Mostly field areas. Crazy to think they're still trying to push in these conditions, but they are. That's just how the way the Russians fight. With no regard towards human life, just, you know, of course, Anivika in the Donetsk area, and the Zaporizhia direction is the most intense fronts right now, is where the most movements happen. But of course, Anivika is the most intense, and is actually where the biggest battles of these wars taking place. The Ukrainians continue to try and hold this area, and will probably, you know, continue to try and consolidate this area here, and they are doing a great job. The Russians continue to be assholes. The Russians continue to just send more than what anybody can really do. You know, sent wave after wave. They're still doing it, still in the winter conditions. I mean, they did in World War II. They're doing it now. Can't stop them from doing it. And yeah, so that's what's happening here on the front lines. Relatively a standstill. Not a big time battles. Tank losses and everything. Is of course still sort of moving, but there's a lot less casualties in the forms of APVs and tanks and, well, material losses. So we'll probably see for the next 4 months a lot more of a artillery battle, a rocket battle, and that's what we're planning on. And of course, Gaza on its at the moment right now at least is at a ceasefire. So as soon as that comes back on, if it does come back on, of course we'll give you that. But yeah, as far as right now, it's on a ceasefire. Which has previously been extended by 2 days. I believe it's been extended by 3 days now, but yeah. The wife of the head of the Ukrainian intelligence services, I read this earlier, but I'm going to give it to you again. Intelligence Service of Ukraine, Budanov was poisoned. So the wife of Budanov was poisoned. And as far as I have right here, when asked to confirm the reports, Romina Budanov had been taken ill, a source in Ukraine Defense Intelligence told Kyiv Post, unfortunately, this is true. She went to the doctor on time. If a week later, the consequences would have been severe. So she survived. So as I understand, she is all right. China athletes are as young as 7 in military training to create Iron Army. Yeah. Kind of knew that. If you want to hear about the North Korea things, go back to the start of the video. That's kind of explained everything going on there. See this here as well. This is images coming out. This is from Zelensky. So this is the conditions as well. It's a car with a minigun on top of it. That's some Ukrainian adventures right there. They're very inventive. I like that a lot about them. That's very many times this is used for drone takeouts. They've even created systems where they have AKs kind of formed around. They have like a lot of AKs in one round, and then they sort of, fire that off. And this is, maybe one of those, or just a minigun, or an M1, an M, whatever that's, an M4 or whatever they call it. The big guns, right? The big guns. These are pictures coming out from Zelensky here. More of right here. Very freezing conditions, but they are still moving forward. That's a IFV right there. So, yeah. Why don't I give you the morning address here from Zelensky? Well, it's not really a morning address, but it's from 13 hours ago. So, yeah, it's kind of a late night morning address.
Дорогі українці, українки, кілька підсумків за цей день. Перше, від ранку отримую звіти щодо ситуації в тих наших регіонах, де є наслідки негоди. Були знеструмлені майже 1500 населених пунктів в 17 областях. Всюди працюють енергетики над відновленням постачання. Як тільки це буде можливим, кожне місто, кожне село отримає електрику. Наразі тільки з боку ДСНС України працюють цілодобово сотні людей, сотні одиниць техніки. Допомагає Національна поліція, Національна гвардія, задіяні комунальні служби. Я вдячний усім в областях, по лінії обласної та місцевої влади, хто оперативно підключився до допомоги людям та дає результат. В кожній громаді зараз важливо зробити максимум, аби ми не втрачали життя через негоду. На жаль, станом на зараз є загиблі, найбільше в Одеській області 5 людей. Мої співчуття рідним та близьким. Щонайменше 19 людей постраждали. Усім надано необхідну допомогу. І на державному, і на регіональному рівнях оперативні штаби працюватимуть, поки не відновиться нормальна ситуація. Наразі епіцентр циклону переміщується в Північній області, всюди готові допомагати. Були доповіді щодо допомоги водіям на заблокованих дорогах. Дякую, зокрема, і волонтерам, які підтримують людей в громадах. Дуже важливо зараз подбати і про тих, хто живе на самоті, хто вже у літньому віці. Особливо я хочу сьогодні відзначити увесь колектив ДСНС України, Національної гвардії та Національної поліції, хто цілодобово надає допомогу. Зокрема, надзвичайників Одеського регіону. Цими днями максимально проявили себе капітан Сергій Лісін, начальник караулу 45-ї державної пожежно-рятувальної частини, майстер-сержант Руслан Бугаєв, водій 7-ї державної пожежно-рятувальної частини, майстер-сержант Петро Каламан, водій, електрик рятувального відділення 20-ї пожежної рятувальної частини, а також нацгвардійці, солдат Сергій Дімов, капітан Сергій Мельник та полковник Володимир Литвинюк. Я дякую вам і усім вашим колегам за допомогу людям. Провів сьогодні важливі міжнародні розмови, зокрема зі спадкоємним принцем Саудовської Аравії Ми обговорили ситуацію на Близькому Сході, актуальні події та перспективи, розвиток наших двосторонніх відносин та спільну роботу заради повної реалізації формули миру. Саудівська Аравія дуже допомагає на цьому напрямку. Я вдячний за це. Говорив із президенткою Європейської комісії Урсулою фон дер Ляєн. Звичайно, про підготовку Європейським Союзом рішення щодо початку переговорів з Україною про вступ. Усе, що має зробити наша держава, ми робимо. Говорили і про продовження наступного року підтримки нашої держави з боку ЄС. Також сьогодні звернувся до учасників сесії Міжнародної морської організації, однієї з найбільш респектабельних інституцій світу, що опікуються безпекою мореплавства. Я поінформував про успіхи України у Чорному морі, те, що зробили українці для відновлення нормальних морських шляхів в Чорному морі. Я подякував за підтримку наших зусиль та закликав притягти Росії до справедливої і цілком заслуженої відповідальності за агресію і терор, за порушення усіх фундаментальних свобод та правил, на яких тримається міжнародний порядок. Провів сьогодні і підготовчу нараду щодо різних міжнародних заходів, які плануються найближчими тижнями та до кінця року. Чітко бачимо українську перспективу і те, що необхідно для досягнення наших цілей. Щодня працюємо з партнерами заради нових пакетів оборонної підтримки. Підтримки для наших воїнів. Підписав черговий указ про відзначення наших солдатів і офіцерів Збройних сил України державними нагородами. 115 військовослужбовців. Загалом від 24 лютого і по сьогодні вже відзначені державними нагородами 64 тисячі 258 наших воїнів з усіх сил оборони та безпеки України. Масова хоробрість, масова стійкість, масова направленість на те, щоб саме Україна здобувала переваги в цій війні. Я дякую усім, хто б'ється заради України і українців. Я дякую усім командирам, які дбають про життя солдатів. Дякую усім, хто зосереджений саме на тому, як зробити нашу державу сильніше, всю нашу державу. Наодинці цю битву не виграєш, тільки разом. Усі, хто дбає про одне одного і Україну. Слава Україні!
Слава Україна!
Дорогі
Oh, thank
українські
you.
українки.
Thank you, Zelensky. Thank you. Kadyrov intends to send 3,000 more fighters to Ukraine. Yeah, that'll make a huge difference. Russia advances on 6 areas near Andivika. I don't know what to tell you. It has gotten from being a lot less of a tank battle to a lot more of a fight-on-fight gun battle. Yeah. Alright, last thing I'll give you before I leave. The latest intelligence update on the situation in Ukraine as of November 28th. Here you have it. In recent days, Russian forces have made further small advancements on the northern axis of a pincer movement as part of their attempt to surround the Donbass town of Avdiivka. Since the start of October 2023, Russian forces have moved in the front lines forward up to 2 kilometers in the area. Although modest, this advance likely represents one of the greatest Russian gains since spring 2023. It cost units involving thousands of casualties, that's the thing. Not better quality, but more volume. This operation is gradually bringing Russian troops closer to Avdiivka coke and chemical plant, where Ukrainian forces maintain one of their main defense positions, although Avdiivka has become a salient bulk on the Ukrainian front line. Ukraine remains in control of a corridor in the territory approximately 70 kilometers wide, through which it continues to supply the town. Yeah. And hopefully it will continue to. Whatever. Okay, we're going off. So thank you so much for watching. There's obviously gonna be a podcast out tomorrow that will contain a lot of what we talked about today and probably some more information, but that's gonna happen a little bit later. And when that happens, you'll of course have to see that. Go check out the link in the description to my Not So Good podcast, and it's literally called Not So Good. And I've already uploaded one. It has a HD now, so go watch that and go listen to it. I'd say better. And if you want to, we talked about a lot of what happened yesterday. If you want to get, don't want to sit here and watch, you can listen to it. Or I'll see you tomorrow. Have a good night, and I will see you tomorrow. I realized I said have a good night. Have a good night, day, or anything. It's day for me. So have a good afternoon, midday, night, whatever it is.